Imagine walking out to your garden this fall and seeing lush, vibrant beds filled with fresh vegetables. Kale that gets sweeter after the frost. Carrots you can pull straight from the soil, and leafy greens thriving in the cool air. But here's the catch. If you don't plant these crops right now, you'll completely miss your chance for a fall harvest. Timing is everything. Once the window closes, there's no going back until next year. And trust me, you don't want to be the gardener looking at empty beds while your neighbors are enjoying baskets of fresh produce. So today, I'm going to share the 7 cold season crops you need to get in the ground immediately to guarantee a successful fall harvest. And make sure you stick around until the very end, because crop number 7 is the one most gardeners completely overlook, but it could actually give you the biggest and most rewarding harvest of all. Welcome back to the channel. If we haven't met yet, I've been gardening for many years. Over the seasons, I've tested dozens of different crops in all kinds of conditions, and every single fall, I refine my process to get the most reliable harvest possible. I've made plenty of mistakes along the way, but I've also learned what really works. And today, I'm going to pass that on to you. These aren't just random suggestions. These are crops that I've grown, harvested, and enjoyed on my own table year after year. So whether you're a beginner just starting your first fall garden, or an experienced gardener looking to fine-tune your harvest, this list will give you exactly what you need. And before we dive into the first crop, do me a quick favor. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. That way you'll never miss the weekly tips, tricks, and inspiration I share to help you grow more food, save money, and enjoy gardening all year long. All right, let's get started with the very first crop you should plant right now.
All right, let's start strong with one of my absolute favorite fall crops, kale. Now, kale isn't just trendy, it's actually one of the most reliable vegetables you can grow once the temperatures start dropping. In fact, kale thrives in cool weather. The leaves get sweeter after a touch of frost, and the plant itself is incredibly resilient. Where other greens might wilt away, kale keeps producing. And in some climates, it can even overwinter and bounce back in spring. So, how do you plant it? Start by choosing a spot with rich, well-drained soil. Kale loves soil that's been enriched with compost. It's a hungry plant. Sow the seeds about a ½ inch deep and space them around 12 to 18 inches apart so they have room to spread. If you're direct sowing outdoors, keep the soil consistently moist until germination, which usually happens in about a week. And here's a tip. If you're short on time before frost, go with starter plants instead of seeds to speed things up. Now, here's a mistake I see a lot of gardeners make. They overcrowd their kale. When the plants don't have enough space, the airflow gets restricted, and that's when you start to see problems like mildew or weaker growth. Give them their space, and they'll reward you with big leafy greens you can harvest again and again. So tell me, have you tried growing kale in the fall before? Drop me a comment below and let me know if it's in your garden plan this season. And stick around, because the next crop I'm about to show you actually gets even sweeter once those frosty nights roll in. Next up, let's talk about a classic fall staple, carrots. Carrots are perfect for fall gardening because not only do they tolerate cool weather, but they actually develop better flavor in it. Just like kale, those cold nights trigger the roots to convert starches into sugars, which means sweeter, crisper carrots straight from your garden. And here's the best part, carrots store incredibly well. You can leave them in the ground under a layer of mulch and pull them up as you need them, even weeks after your first frost. When it comes to planting, timing is key. Carrots need about 60 to 80 days to reach maturity, so make sure you sow them early enough to beat your area's hard freeze date. To plant, sprinkle the seeds very thinly in rows, about a ¼ inch deep. They like loose, sandy soil that's free of rocks and clumps. This helps them grow long, straight roots instead of twisting and forking. After they sprout, and this is important, you'll need to thin them out. Many gardeners skip this step because it feels like a waste, but overcrowded carrots compete for space and nutrients, and that's when you end up with tiny, stunted roots. Thin them to about 2 inches apart, and your carrots will thank you later. And hey, if you're enjoying these tips so far, do me a favor, give this video a quick thumbs up. It really helps the channel grow and make sure more gardeners like you can find these tips. Now get ready, because crop number 3 is a lightning fast grower. If you want something you can harvest in just a few weeks, you're gonna love it.
All right, crop number 3 is one of my favorite fast growers, radishes. If you've ever wanted instant gratification in the garden, radishes are your answer. They're one of the quickest crops you can grow, with some varieties ready to harvest in as little as 3 to 4 weeks. That means if you plant them today, you could be crunching on fresh, peppery radishes before the month is over. But radishes aren't just fast, they're resilient too. They absolutely love cooler weather, and unlike summer crops, they don't bolt as quickly when the temperatures drop. Plus, they don't need a huge garden bed. You can easily grow them in small spaces or even containers, which makes them a great option if you're tight on room. Now, let's talk about how to plant them. Radishes don't like being transplanted, so always direct sow them. Scatter the seeds about 1/2 inch deep and 1 inch apart in rows. You'll see those little seedlings popping up in just a few days. It's so rewarding. Thin them out to about 2 inches apart once they sprout. And don't skip this step, because overcrowded radishes turn woody or bulb out unevenly. Here's a pro tip. Stagger your planting. Instead of sowing a whole bed of radishes at once, plant a row every week or two. That way you'll have a steady supply throughout the fall rather than one giant harvest that overwhelms you all at once. Now, one of the biggest mistakes I see with radishes is leaving them in the ground too long. They mature fast, but if you ignore them, they can turn pithy, tough, and bitter. Harvest them as soon as they're ready and enjoy them at their crisp, flavorful peak. And here's a fun fact. Did you know that radish greens are edible too? Toss them in a stir fry or saute them with a little garlic and olive oil. It's like getting 2 harvests from one plant. So, what about you? Have you ever tried growing radishes in the fall, or do you prefer them in spring? Drop me a comment below. I'd love to hear how you use them in your kitchen. And stay tuned, because our next crop is a true fall gardening staple. It's hardy, nutritious, and it can keep your beds looking lush and green long into the cold season. Now, crop number 4 is none other than spinach. And let me tell you, spinach was practically designed for the fall garden. Spinach thrives in cool weather, and if you time it right, you can be harvesting crisp, tender leaves for weeks, even months. In fact, spinach is so cold hardy that with a little protection like row covers or a layer of mulch, it can survive deep frosts and even overwinter in many regions. That means a fresh harvest is waiting for you as soon as the days start to warm again in early spring. Nutritionally, spinach is a powerhouse. It's packed with iron, vitamins A and C, and antioxidants. Having it in your garden means you've got a steady supply of superfood greens right at your fingertips without the grocery store prices. Now, here's how to plant it. Sow seeds about 1/2 inch deep and keep them around 3 inches apart in rows. Spinach prefers rich, moist soil with plenty of organic matter. It doesn't do well in hard, dry ground. Consistent watering is key, but be careful not to overdo it. Spinach roots are shallow and can rot if the soil stays soggy. Now, one of the biggest mistakes I see a lot of gardeners make is waiting too long to sow spinach. Remember, spinach doesn't like hot weather. It bolts quickly in summer. But when you plant it in cooler fall temperatures, it focuses on producing tender leaves instead of going to seed. The earlier you plant in fall, the more harvest you'll enjoy before the real cold sets in. And here's a little gardener secret. Plant spinach in partial shade if you live in a warmer zone. It will extend your growing window even longer, and you'll avoid bitter-tasting leaves. Now, when it comes to harvesting, don't pull up the whole plant unless you're ready to clear the bed. Instead, use the cut and come again method. Snip off the outer leaves and let the center keep growing. That way, your spinach patch keeps regenerating and providing fresh greens week after week. Let me ask, what's your favorite way to use spinach in the kitchen? Do you toss it raw in salads, or do you prefer it sautéed and cooked down? Share your go-to dish in the comments below. I might just borrow your idea for dinner. And hey, if you're finding these tips helpful, make sure you hit that subscribe button right now. I've got plenty more fall gardening inspiration coming your way, and I don't want you to miss out. Up next, we're moving into the heavy hitters, the crops that not only thrive in fall, but also give you substantial harvests to fill your pantry. You don't want to miss crop number 5.
Now let's move on to crop number 5, broccoli. Broccoli is one of those crops that truly shines in the fall garden. While many people think of it as a spring or early summer crop, it actually performs even better when grown in cooler temperatures. The reason? Broccoli loves the chill. Cool nights and mild days bring out the best flavor, and instead of getting bitter, the heads stay tender and sweet. Planting broccoli in the fall also comes with another big advantage: fewer pests. Those pesky cabbage worms and moths that attack broccoli in the summer aren't nearly as active in cooler weather, which means you'll spend less time fighting bugs and more time enjoying healthy plants. Here's how to plant it. Broccoli takes a little longer to mature than leafy greens, so the best strategy is to transplant starter plants rather than sowing seeds directly in fall. Space them about 18 inches apart in rows and give them nutrient-rich soil with good drainage. A top dressing of compost or a balanced organic fertilizer will help them establish quickly. Water consistently. Broccoli likes moist soil, not dry spells followed by heavy watering. And here's a common mistake to avoid. Don't let your plants get stressed, because that's when you'll see them bolt or produce tiny underdeveloped heads. Keep them happy and they'll reward you with nice, firm crowns. And here's a bonus tip. Once you harvest the main head, don't pull the plant out. Broccoli will keep sending up side shoots that are perfect for smaller harvests. It's like a second, third, and sometimes even a fourth crop from the same plant. So, do you usually grow broccoli in spring, or have you tried it in fall? Let me know in the comments. Personally, I think fall broccoli has a flavor that spring broccoli just can't match. Coming up next, we've got another powerhouse green that keeps on giving, crop number 6. All right, crop number 6 is Swiss chard. Now, I know Swiss chard doesn't always get the spotlight. It tends to take a back seat to kale or spinach, but let me tell you, this plant is a workhorse in the fall garden. It's colorful, nutritious, and best of all, it's a cut-and-come-again crop. That means once you harvest the outer leaves, the plant just keeps regenerating, providing you with fresh greens over and over again. One of the reasons I love Swiss chard in fall is because of its durability. It tolerates light frosts without a problem. And in milder climates, it can continue producing all winter long. Even if it dies back in a harder frost, the roots are often hardy enough to regrow in spring. To plant Swiss chard, sow seeds about a ½ inch deep and space them about 6 to 8 inches apart. You'll notice that each seed is actually a cluster, so don't be surprised if multiple seedlings sprout from a single spot. Thin them down to the strongest plant so they have room to develop big, healthy leaves. Keep the soil consistently moist, and if you want the most tender leaves, harvest them young. Larger leaves are still perfectly edible, but they're best when cooked. And don't throw away those colorful stems. They're delicious sautéed, roasted, or even pickled. One mistake to avoid with Swiss chard is ignoring it. If you let the leaves get too old on the plant, they can get tough and fibrous. Regular harvesting not only gives you the best flavor, but also encourages new growth. And here's a little gardener's challenge for you. What's your favorite way to cook Swiss chard? Do you toss it into soups, stir fries, or eat it fresh? Share your recipe ideas below. I'm always looking for new ways to enjoy it. Now we're down to crop number 7. This one is often overlooked, but trust me, it's one of the easiest and most rewarding crops you can plant right now. Finally, crop number 7, garlic. Now, if you've never grown garlic before, this is your year to start, because garlic practically grows itself. And fall is the absolute best time to plant it. By getting it in the ground now, you give the cloves time to establish roots before winter, and when spring arrives, the plants take off and reward you with big, beautiful bulbs by early summer. Garlic isn't just easy, it's also one of the most valuable crops you can grow. Think about how much you use garlic in your cooking. Having your own supply means you'll save money and enjoy fresher, more flavorful cloves than anything you'll find at the grocery store. To plant garlic, start with seed garlic, not the treated bulbs from the supermarket. Break apart the bulb into individual cloves, leaving the papery skins intact. Plant each clove about 2 inches deep and 6 inches apart, with the pointed end facing up. Cover them with soil, and then add a thick layer of mulch. Straw, leaves, or even grass clippings work well. The mulch will insulate the cloves over winter and keep weeds down in spring. And here's a mistake to avoid. Don't harvest garlic too early. It takes patience. The bulbs won't be ready until mid-summer next year, when the lower leaves of the plant start to yellow and dry out. That's your signal to pull them up. Harvesting too soon means small bulbs that won't store well. And speaking of storage, properly cured garlic can last for months, meaning you'll have your own stash of homegrown flavor long after the harvest. So let me ask, Are you planning to plant garlic this fall? If not, I really encourage you to give it a try. It's low effort, high reward, and one of the most satisfying crops to pull from the soil. That wraps up our list of 7. But stick with me, I'm going to quickly recap them all and share a few extra tips to make your fall harvest even more successful. All right, let's do a quick recap of the 7 cold season crops you need to plant right now if you want that bountiful fall harvest. We started with kale, the hardy green that gets sweeter after a frost. Then we moved on to carrots, perfect for fall storage and flavor. Next was radishes, the lightning-fast grower that gives you a harvest in weeks. After that, spinach, the cold-loving green that can even overwinter for spring harvests. Then came broccoli, which thrives in fall and keeps producing side shoots. Swiss chard, the colorful workhorse that gives you cut-and-come-again harvests. And finally, garlic, the set-it-and-forget-it crop that rewards your patience with bulbs you'll use for months. 7 crops, 7 opportunities to fill your garden beds with fresh and healthy food this fall.
Now here's the thing. Fall gardening isn't just about growing food. It's about extending the season, getting the most from your soil, and making sure nothing goes to waste. Imagine being able to walk outside in October or November and harvest fresh greens, roots, and herbs while everyone else is shutting their gardens down. For me, fall gardening has always been one of the most rewarding parts of the year. The air is cooler, the pests slow down, and the harvests just feel that much more satisfying. And if you've never tried it before, this is the perfect year to start. So here's what I want you to do. Pick at least 1 crop from this list and commit to planting it this week. Even if you don't get all 7 in the ground, starting with 1 will get you hooked on the magic of fall gardening. And if this video gave you value, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell so you never miss a tip that helps you grow more food and enjoy gardening all year long. Drop a comment below and tell me, which of these crops are you planting first? I read every single one, and your ideas often inspire future videos. Until next time, happy gardening, and get those crops in the ground before it's too late.